a world of mystery. A world so dark that you can barely see. A world where the macabre becomes a reality, and your reality becomes the strange and unusual. This is an October edition of the Cain Stevens Paranormal Super Show.
All right, everybody, this is Cain Stevens from the Cain Stevens Super Show, and we have a special guest today. Not only do we have a special guest, but we're not sitting in studio. We're sitting in one of my favorite places on earth, and I think it might be one of this guy's too. It is, I've been coming here since high school, sometimes maybe not legally. I'm really not going to say too much, but you can kind of deduct from there. But my friends and I used to come here, and we had a lot of strange happenings happen at this particular location. What is the location, you're wondering? This is Robbers Cave, everybody. Robbers Cave is here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And for those of you who have not been here, which I can't believe you haven't at this point, you really should come here because it's a treasure for the city, and it's just a amazing place to come for tourism and just to have a great time with a really interesting place. And we have a great guest here who knows a lot about it. My guest today is Joel Green, everybody. Joel, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine, Cain. Thanks for having me.
You know, we're basically, I found out from my wife that in a strange way, we're basically related. I didn't know if you know this or not, but, my wife's family has a marriage connection of some sort to your wife. So we're basically brothers at this.
Basically brothers. I did hear about that connection at a family reunion once. But...
Was it good or bad? Like, was the, was the family mentioned? My wife's family, was it a fond thing, or they're pretty good people?
Mentioned fondly, for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. We're pretty much identical twins, if you couldn't tell.
Yeah, yeah, basically the same. I feel so strange sitting on this stool because I feel like super tall. Friend, I feel like I put you in like the little kid chair over here, but
that's all right. Just look farther away.
Well, I can't think of a better backdrop than when I wanted to talk to you about the hauntings here at Robbers Cave. I can't think of a better backdrop than the entrance to Robbers Cave itself. I mean, the ominous look to it, this wonderful room. And Joel, you've spent I mean, nobody's going to deny this. I would say you probably spent, except for like maybe some of the original people here, you spent the most time of anybody in this particular cave, right?
Oh, yeah, you make a good point. I mean, cave tours have been going strong every day for the past 8 years. And even when the Scarborough family lived here, they would open up the door, and they didn't really spend a ton of time in the cave. At one time, they did have a mushroom garden down here, but I think the next person that had spent the most time in here would have been Jakob Andla, or Jacob Andra. He was the big German that enlarged the cave way back in the 1860s. That would have taken some time. He definitely spent some time in here with his pickaxe, his shovel, and his wheelbarrow. That's something.
I can't even imagine coming in here, walking through some of these caverns and coming through with a pickaxe and enlarging it like it has. I mean, the guy did a fantastic job, didn't he? So what is the cave made of, where you could do some sort of thing like that by yourself?
Well, most caves that you visit are limestone, and when you go visit them, you learn all about stalactites and stalagmites. Robbers Cave in Lincoln, it's totally different. It's all Dakota sandstone, and sandstone caves are formed by piping, where groundwater will seep through and take sand grains with it, just following the least path of resistance, creating these little tunnels, these little ceilings. So initially, the cave really just started off as a small pock in the bluff that could have been shelter for maybe Native Americans, pioneers. But some brewers from Waukesha, Wisconsin, and Red Wing, Minnesota, they came and took what was there, followed those natural ceilings, enlarged it all out, vaulted it out for lagering caverns. So the cave was actually the site of Lincoln's first brewery, and we're talking 1869 to 1873 is how long it took for Jacob Andra to enlarge the tunnels. Man. But it's because of the soft sandstone. As you know, anybody from those brewers from Minnesota and Wisconsin, they find some sandstone and a water source, right? They're going to brew some beer.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You'd have to. I wonder what the. I'd love to meet the German guy. You know, I mean, I imagine he's a big old barrel-sized German guy like myself. You know, it kind of takes a. You know, I'm not saying that I'm a man, but it takes a man to dig a cave, and this guy did a heck of a job. So,
Just shave your head and get some mutton chops, and you'll look just like him. He's got a big tombstone out in Wyuka.
oh really?
Yeah, very prominent one.
So do you? So let's get down to the business of the tours to start, and then we'll get into the haunting or what we assume is a possible haunting.
Okay.
People have been talking about Robbers Cave for many years. It was opened up and made a tourist attraction once again. They did a lot of work to reinforce it and fix it. So with the caves and the tours that you're doing, I mean, you have people come from all over the world. We're not just talking, people, just a couple locals here and there now and then. I mean, you're going steady all week long, and you're having people from all over the state, country, and the world here.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible. I started giving tours back in 2016. My younger sister worked for the restaurant that was up here. They were evicted 6 years ago, but luckily they didn't own the cave or the building, and the tours really took off. They've been going strong for 8 years, and I usually start off the tour by explaining to everybody that it is mostly people from other countries and other states. I think a lot of people in Lincoln kind of have their mind made up about the cave as it was just like a hole in the ground where college kids drank, but that's true. But there's a lot more to it than that. The hydrologist from Minnesota and the speleological historian from Wisconsin, they came down and took one look at this place and said, this doesn't exist anymore. They're like, it's an ex-commercial urban show cave with an operating business near it, which is the event venue that's now here. So it's very strange, very weird. Most caves like this are either sealed off, or they have freeways going over them, or streets going through them, or they're, caved in. They want people out of them because people party in them, light fires. This one's totally different. It's got air shafts. It's got lights. It's got stairs. It's got emergency exits and everything like that. So it's very rare. But yeah, I was very proud and thankful when the book won Nebraska Book Award. But wrote a book on it several years ago, and it won a Nebraska Book Award. And tours have been going strong. And also, it got the 2022 Outstanding Tourism Destination for the entire state, which I was super proud of because it's just one dude telling stories. But as a place like this, just tell the truth. Truth is stranger than fiction. These tunnels were used for everything.
They were. You can easily say that at least from a paranormal side, there's always history behind it, right? I mean, there's always, and no one can deny that there's plenty of history in this cave. And you go over that in your book. I mean, you go through it in amazing detail as to the history and many of the things that have been here. So, what were some of the a lot of the things that I've read? There's thought of there being Jesse James might have been here and all of that. I mean, what is there truth to any of that?
The Jesse James, he's actually the outlaw the cave is named for, whether he was ever here or not. I don't really talk about Jesse James too much on the tour because as I've traveled the country and visited other caves, I quickly learned he's been in every single one of them, and a lot of the stories are the same. But he definitely was in the area. He used to live in Rulo, Nebraska with his grandma, Zerelda, and his brother Frank lived in Omaha. Jesse James had his wedding pics taken in Nebraska City. And he also was going to buy land in Franklin County. He's definitely in the area a lot. There's no way to prove whether or not he was in the cave. If he ever was in this area, I always thought it might have been to visit the brothel. After the brewery closed, it actually became a brothel until 1885 when the building was set on fire. So, but it's definitely part of the folklore. A lot of horse thievery and gambling going on in the cave. 244 horseshoes were found in the cave. There's this big leg-operated horseshoe vise up on the wall that was found in the cave. There used to be horse stalls in there. Back in the 1800s, a sheriff by the name of Sam Mellick used to come here and cut loose some of the stolen horses. So, but yeah, Jesse James, whether he was ever here or not, he is the outlaw the cave is named for.
What about the what about the Indian connection? Many want to connect this as being a sacred Native American site of some sort. Is there any truth to any of that?
Well, the cave has had a lot of names over the years. Pawnee Council Cave, Original Council Cave Tunnel. Not just a little bit to the east of here is Indian Village, and there's a high point, and part of the folklore was that Native Americans would have their rites, rituals, and trials at that site, and those found guilty at trials were to be buried at a low point in the bluff. And so just to the west of that would have been Robbers Caves tunnels. And so that's kind of the Pawnee Council Cave, however, though, is a misnomer. It's called that on one of the old maps of Robbers Cave, but the actual closest tribe would have been the Oto, Missouri. The Pawnee were in the area, but they were here to scrape for salt.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get ready to rumble with the Ultimate Beard Care Showdown. Introducing our headliner, the one, the only, Squatch.
Oh yeah, Mean Jim. Squatch in the house, and I'm here to tell you about beard products that'll make your whiskers the talk of the town. If your beard's ready to take on the world, you need the power of our beard balms, butters, and oils, brother.
That's right, Squatch. Let's kick things off with the Beard Balm of Legends.
This beard balm is like a body slam for your beard. It tackles those wild hairs and smooths them out, making your beard look like $1,000,000. No sweat, brother!
What's the scoop with the beard butter?
Oh, brother, it's a game changer. This butter makes your beard softer than a cloud and as easy to manage as a well-oiled wrestling machine. Plus, it's got a scent that's as sweet as victory. Oh, yeah.
And let's not forget the beard oil.
The beard oil is the final knockout punch. It hydrates, shines, and smells like a championship belt made of cedar and pine. Your beard will be the 1, 2, 3 of any match.
Where can our fans score these unbeatable products?
You read my mind, brother. Head on over to elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and grab your beard gear. And listen up. Use the code Super Show and get a jaw-dropping 20% off. That's right, 20% off. Your beard's about to go from 0 to hero, brother.
That's elegantsasquatchco.etsy.com and use your code Super Show for 20%. Don't wait, make your beard the ultimate champ today. Ahoy, mateys! Christopher Columbus here. You know me. I discovered America, or at least that's what the history books have been saying for years. Anyways, I have a little confession to make. My compass quit halfway through the trip, and I got lost at sea on the way there.
Ahoy, Captain. What direction should we point the boat?
Shut up, you fool. I'm in the middle of a commercial here. Anyways, what was I saying? Oh, yes. When we arrived on land there, the natives were all decked out in their cool Viking gear. They said these big, smelly, bearded guys came, hung out, then split with all their cool stuff.
Aye, it was a weird day.
That could have been our cool stuff. We could have claimed all this great treasure and all this pirate's plunder.
But, sir, how will we steer the boat if we don't have a compass?
Well, this next trip is going to be different. I'm heading to Sly Ink Tattoo to get a compass on my hand. After that, everything is coming up Christopher Columbus.
Ahoy, sir. That new ink looks great on you. After I swapped the poop deck and greased the hootenannies, I think we're going to be back to sped and... Oh, no.
What is it now, you buffoon?
It appears as if America's shores are just on the horizon.
What? How could this be? I've been pointing my arm in the same direction for days. Well, looks like this tattoo compass is broken too. Guess I'll have to head back to Sly Ink for that dolphin lower back tattoo I've been wanting to get. Well, looks like our native friends are waving us in, but oh, wait, they don't look very happy. Well, until next time, friends, if there is one.
So that kind of
About by Capitol Beach.
yeah. So that kind of dispels some of the not saying that it's not possible, but it's amazing how the folklore changes over the years, and how, just like with the Jesse James thing, so many, just the mere mention of him having ties to Nebraska and all of these things is enough for everybody to just assume that, oh yeah, he absolutely was hiding out in this cave. But like you said, he's connected to a lot of caves because he was he robbed banks and trains and all sorts of stuff like that. So he had to have somewhere to go, right?
Yeah, the Jesse James folklore is a big part of the cave. However, I think they got the wrong outlaw. The one that would have been here the most easily would have been Starkweather. He lived right down the street and went to Saratoga, Irving. This is where all the kids played in the 30s, 40s, 50s, And they're right across the street. Used to be a little drive-in called the Treat Drive-In, and the owners of that have come and taken several tours. They've given me old black and white photos of what the structure looked like and everything, and they actually had a specific employee named Stretch. He was a tall, lanky guy. And his job was to kick Starkweather out of the drive-in because he'd always come in and put his feet up on the tables. So I know he was hanging out at this drive-in right across the street all the time. So, one of the Nebraska's outlaws that could have been here easily would have been Starkweather. I even have a photo from the 50s, a gentleman that he gave to me, a lineup of boys. He said, "This is the Cave Gang." And the second kid over from the left is Bobby Colvert, and that's Starkweather's first victim.
Wow.
So all those kids played around here.
I was reading something the other day, and the author had mentioned that he thinks that Lincoln is one of the most haunted cities in the entire country, which I found to be fascinating because I'm a person who dives into all of that. I try to go to many places, not just because of the Guides to the Ghost of Lincoln book, but yes, we all kind of read that back when we were kids. And we all went to I can't say all of us, but the ghouls like me, we went to all the sites and we tried to find ghosts. But one of the places mentioned was right here at Robbers Cave. So getting down to the haunting and what people, let me ask you this first. How many groups have actually, paranormal groups, professional paranormal groups have come in and studied and set foot here and claim that the cave is haunted?
Probably close to a dozen over the past 8 years. There's a group from St. Louis, the Twin Cities, Chicago, here in Lincoln, Omaha. Several have been here, and they usually plan on staying the night. They usually last about 3 or 4 hours. They get colder, their batteries die. And when they leave, or they get a hold of you afterwards with a big file of footage, they all find something. It's just not enough to spook me out of here. The only time I've actually ever gotten scared in here was back in March of 2018 when I went down to get the lights up for the tour, and they weren't flashing on and off or anything like that. They started doing waves up and down the tunnels, and I was like, oh crap, how am I going to fix this? I've got people waiting for their tour up top. And I got the phone out, started recording everything because I didn't think anybody was going to believe me. And I made it halfway down the first tunnel, and they all cut off. And I remember looking both ways, nothing. I was just standing in there recording with my phone. And after a few seconds went by, bloom, one light bulb pops up in the entire cave. It was the one right next to where I was standing, right above me. And that's when I left. And that's the only time I've actually gotten spooked out in the cave. And I'm in here every day. And it's still a mystery. I mean, the electricians have never figured out why just the one day, why just the one light, how it changed color. When you see the video, you'll notice it's actually a different color. And then also how it fixed itself. I mean, they're all on this one switch over here. It's like you think a breaker would have done it. I didn't want to cancel that tour. But back in 2016, the cave was blessed by 12 Catholic priests. This actually happened after that. So I had a gentleman from the Omaha tribe, Mike Wolf, come and smudge it. He's a part of the Omaha tribe. We met here early one morning. He had the sage and the eagle feathers and went in there, was singing the prayers and everything. So what what they do works. I'm not going to have any problems now.
Yeah.
Nothing's happened since, but
When you have that many
grateful
priests,
that he came and did that.
yeah. Why so many priests to bless the place?
I don't know exactly why 12 of them came. The restaurant was still here at that time. I believe that was something Senator Kowash set up.
Yeah.
He's got Senator Kowash has he's got a son who used to see somebody in the cave, and then also he had a really interesting photograph that he took in the cave one time, right
Really?
behind us above the entrance. So he had a couple of stories that ended up in the book.
Yeah.
Colby Kowash. Yep.
Well, the video that you're mentioning, if you guys stick around till the end, I'm gonna go ahead and play the video for you, and hopefully you guys can kind of make what you want out of it. Me being an electrician for 20 years, I too cannot come up with a solution as to why the electricity would be moving the way it did and behaving the way it did. I've tried to for many nights. I've sat up quite a few nights actually, which is strange, thinking about this type of thing. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night. Everybody is. I think to myself, how is that possible? What's another solution to it? There was another investigator that I had when I came and investigated here with another group, and he had some ideas as to what he thought it might be. Do you remember his explanation at all, or just like briefly on what he thought it could be?
Yeah, there was another paranormal team that came with yours, and I went back and found his idea of what he thought might have been going on with the lights. He says, I was doing some research on your flickering lights in the cave. Based on science alone, magnetic fields move horizontally and electric waves move vertically. He goes, this is one method of how a ghost would move across the surface of the earth. I can't remember what metal is present in the cave walls. He was talking about the iron ore. There's veins of iron ore through the cave that runs horizontally. And the metal contained in the cave walls may conduct electricity or have magnetic properties. And static electricity may have influenced the lights due to the magnetic rock in the cave structure. And since the cave has electrical wiring, the cave's light bulbs were put in after 1912. Before that, it was pieces of wood dipped in kerosene, and you'd have a flame every 20 feet. The current light bulbs, though, that are in the cave are LEDs. They were put in 2015. The cave is slightly moist, which makes the cave more susceptible to electric waves flowing easily. And he said the blue light, that the light bulb changes color, is closer to ultraviolet light waves, not infrared. So UV light is used for obviously things like decontamination of medical instruments and tanning beds and things like that. So it might be a good sign that blue isn't necessarily known as a paranormal color. But then he says it becomes the question of the metal and the static electricity in the cave. I've had a lot of electricians have seen that video, and they just simply say LEDs don't do that. They buzz a little bit and they go out. I've seen them go in sequence before, at like airfields and street lights and whatnot. But to have them all go out and then just to have one pop up,
Right.
it just so happened to be the one right above me. And then how it fixed itself later still makes it a mystery.
It is a mystery because, think about the LED strips that you get now, for example, right, for your kids' rooms, your game rooms, whatever. They can go off in strange sequences when they're cued to do that. But none of this was cued. These are just LED bulbs. They weren't set in a sequence where it was meant to do that sort of thing. So it's not, and it wasn't like you're trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. This happened to you and you alone in the cave. So it's like you were obviously scared enough at that point. You got out of there. So since then you've had you would say nothing of that nature that even comes close or anything paranormal?
Yeah, there was one other thing. A 12-year-old gal that was on a tour was taking pictures with her Polaroid. After she left the gift shop, she came back just a short while later to share with me one of the photos in particular. that came up, and there was like a really interesting shape in the first tunnel that she caught on one of her photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I sent that to Jason Faust of Heartland Paranormal, and it really reminded him of something. And he sent me an image from England, the brown lady of Raynham Hall, and it actually looks exactly the same shape.
Wow.
And that really, it might not mean a lot to a lot of the people, but it was really coincidental that if you, I could show you the photo too. The image is actually right next to the light bulb, the one that came on above me. I thought that was pretty coincidental.
Well, shout out to Jason from Heartland Paranormal. Jason's a close personal friend of mine. He's been a guest on the show. And I can tell you with certainty, and I've put many pictures in front of Jason, Jason's a hard egg to crack. He's not willing to just sit there and look at any photo and say, yep, that's absolutely a ghost. So for Jason to be impressed by it, I would say that that's something in itself. I know that we don't have a ton of more time to go over this. So I just want to get down to it, Joel. After we did our investigation, the thing that I found is there were instruments going off in places throughout the cave that I can't explain, be it cat balls, be it REM pods, just a number of things happening, a possible loud whisper voice in the bat cave clear back there.
Yeah.
But it wasn't enough. Being a true investigator, it wasn't enough for me to pull the trigger personally and say, "Oh yes, it's 1,000% haunted." You should run for the hills. You should hide behind it. Your mom when you come here. But I will say this: there were enough things that happened between our group and the other group, and many groups that have been here, to at least suggest that there is something paranormal going on. Now, paranormal doesn't have to mean ghost. It doesn't have to mean haunting. It just means it's out of the normal, correct? So there is something going on of that nature.
Yeah, before I forget, too, when Jason Faust was here with his Heartland Paranormal team, he set up with Mid-America Paranormal Team, I believe that's his, and they didn't get any audio evidence. He said they saw a lot of things with their own eyes, actually captured a partial apparition. So he came back in July of 2020, and he used light manipulation tests, recorders, brought a medium with him, Kelly Higgins, and they reported a presence of an old woman near me whenever I'm in the cave. And I was like, oh, well, if there is something in there, I think it likes me because, like I said, in all the years I've been in here, all the times I've been in here, I only got scared that one time.
Well, you would think that if there is something following you around and there is something haunting the cave, you would think they would like you because you're respectful to the cave. You're keeping the history of the cave alive. You're not literally kicking up dust and sand. You're trying to preserve the place. So I would hope, and the jury's still out for a lot of people. I've seen so many things in all the investigations that I've done that I'm absolutely 1,000% convinced that ghosts exist, that hauntings exist. When it comes to this particular location, I think that there probably is something going on here. I just, my personal opinion is I would need more time, more investigations, hours and hours of combing through footage, more investigators to really know what's really going on here. So, I would say it probably is haunted, right? That would be my conclusion.
I remember the old Guide to the Ghost of Lincoln book that you had mentioned. That's how I first learned about the cave. And it had talked about how to get into the cave, you had to get past an old woman with snarling coyotes. And once you were in, there was thousands and thousands of bats, and the cave walls dripped the color of blood, and the cave went all the way to the pen and things like that. Like, obviously, that's all sensationalized. There's a little bit of truth, with the coyotes. They did have pet coyotes and things like that. But I wish and see a lot of people don't realize the actual deaths at the cave site from back in the day. There was actually J.W. Scarborough and Fred Scarborough. The Scarborough family is the ones that owned the cave for generations. They actually passed away here at their home on this site. And then also one of the original brewers, Michael Ulmer, back in 1875. He actually died at the cave too. And then there was a Nebraska State Journal. I learned about this from Tate and Bundy. I must have I found this going back through my notes. This was back in 1916. Quote, "The cave was prepared for a brewery, and when so used, a gentleman named Pete died in the cave, and his body was found near vats." And then something else kind of cool from May of 1879, Matt Hansen, Capitol Preservation architect, the Daily State Journal reported that a man had been shot and killed at the brewery. And then also, I found reading one of Jim McKee's books, Remember When or Remember Lincoln, one of those old Lincoln history books, that Robbers Cave was the site of one of the last duels held in Lancaster County. So,
Man.
I just wish I would have been able to learn about that and know a lot of that stuff, alongside that sensationalized folklore version of Guide to the Ghost of Lincoln.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cool stuff that's happened in there over the years. A lot of good times and a lot of, bad times for people too. It is a cave. There's several stories underground. There's been a lot of fights and things like that over the years down there. But, yeah, like I said, other than being scared that one time, I make sure to mention in the book that if you think of ghosts in a different way when you're in Robbers Cave, just think of them as like memories that exist alongside you. If you do that, they're everywhere when you walk through there. Because, every inch of that cave's covered with memories.
Yeah. It makes you wonder with like, if there are other dimensions, right? They mention multiple dimensions and type things. People just theorize. It makes you wonder how many ghosts are around us at all times. How much energy is really, we don't fizz out when we die. I don't believe. I believe that our energy and our essence is still around. And think about the area just in general. Lincoln is a big small town, right? The best big small town in the world. And it's no different here. There's so much energy and so many things going on that it's not so far fetched to think that it could be haunted. So I guess for me, I'm so privileged to have you on the show, Joel. I'm glad to call you my friend. I've known you since high school, since newspaper class. You kind of took the road that I always wanted to take, and so I'm very envious of you as an author and everything that you've done. And I just want you to know how all of us in Lincoln should be proud of the work that you've done here and what you continue to do for this city.
Appreciate that. Yeah, we had some good times there at LHS Advocate, sports editors, right?
That's right. Yeah. I still have the articles. I can still remember the headlines of some of them. So
yeah, that's when Michael Jordan retired. So we had a big weekend covering that.
Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire were battling it out. I know I took that one, and I I can remember it all like it was yesterday. So shout out to Lincoln High, and thank you for having me here. Before we go, I'm gonna give, if somebody is here, we're gonna get quiet for a second. I'm gonna give somebody a chance to speak up if they want to. If somebody's here, you're welcome to talk to us here in these microphones. You're welcome to yell out. All quiet today. From now on, I guess everybody, you're just gonna have to come to Robbers Cave yourself and investigate and just look into it for yourselves. If you're curious about the paranormal, if you're just curious about a cave that's here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and you had no idea, then you need to get here pronto. Joel is the best tour guide around, and you're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be the best hour or however long you rent to come here. It's gonna be the best time of your life. So thank you again, Joel. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Cain. Yeah, tours are every day, year round. Just give me a call.
All right. Thank you.
There's just the one. Weird. That stopped.